My name is Olivia Carter, and for most of my life, my family treated me like the stain they couldn't scrub out. Not because I was cruel, not because I was lazy, not because I had done anything unforgivable, but because I was different from them. My older sister, Madison, was the golden child. Perfect hair, perfect smile, perfect husband, perfect house in the kind of neighborhood where people judged your worth by the shine of your driveway. My younger brother, Ethan, was my father's pride. He played football, studied business, and somehow always knew how to say exactly what my parents wanted to hear. And then there was me, Olivia, the quiet daughter, the one who asked too many questions, the one who didn't wear the right clothes, didn't laugh at the right jokes, didn't pretend that our family was perfect when it was clearly breaking behind closed doors. My mother used to say, "Olivia, why can't you just be normal?" My father would sigh like my existence exhausted him. Madison would roll her eyes whenever I entered a room, as if I had ruined the lighting. For years, I tried to earn my place in that family. I got good grades. I worked part-time through college. I sent money home when my father's business went through a bad year. I took care of my grandmother when everyone else said they were too busy. But none of it mattered. To them, I was still the embarrassing daughter. The one they introduced last. The one they left out of photos. The one they warned before every family event. Please don't say anything strange. Please dress properly. Please don't embarrass us. That sentence followed me everywhere. And then, one cold Thursday morning, I heard it again. Only this time, we were standing inside a courthouse. And this time, everything changed. My grandmother, Evelyn Carter, had passed away 6 months earlier. She was the only person in my family who ever made me feel loved without conditions. She was soft-spoken, but strong, the kind of woman who could silence a room without raising her voice. When I was little and my mother criticized my hair, Grandma Evelyn would brush it gently and whisper, "There is nothing wrong with you, sweetheart. Some people only recognize gold when it shines the way they expect." When my father forgot my birthday, she baked me a chocolate cake with uneven frosting and put 13 candles on it, even though I was turning 16. When I cried after Madison told me I would never be the kind of woman people admired, Grandma held my hand and said, "One day, Olivia, they'll understand exactly who you are." I didn't know what she meant. Not then. After Grandma died, the family gathered for the reading of her will. My parents showed up dressed like they were attending a business meeting. Madison came with her husband, Blake, wearing a pearl necklace that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Ethan arrived late, sunglasses on, acting like the whole thing was an inconvenience. I came alone. I wore a simple navy dress and the silver bracelet Grandma had given me when I graduated college. The moment I walked into the courthouse hallway, Madison looked me up and down. "That's what you're wearing?" she asked. I glanced at myself. "It's a dress, Madison." She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "This is about Grandma's estate. Try to look like you belong here." My mother touched my arm, not gently. "Olivia, today is important. Please don't make this about yourself." "I'm not," I said. My father didn't even look at me. He just muttered, "Let's get this over with." We were escorted into a courtroom instead of a small office, which surprised everyone. Grandma's attorney, Mr. Whitmore, was already seated near the front. Beside him were several folders and a sealed envelope. A judge entered a few minutes later. "Everyone," he stood. The judge was a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and calm authority. Her nameplate read, "Honorable Judge Margaret Ellis." As we sat down, Madison leaned toward my mother and whispered loudly enough for me to hear, "Why are we in an actual courtroom? Did Olivia do something?" My brother laughed under his breath. I stared down at my hands. Then my father turned slightly toward me and whispered the words I knew too well. "Don't embarrass us." My chest tightened. For a second, I was 12 again, standing at a school awards ceremony while my family clapped for Madison and forgot I had won first place in writing. I was 17 again, sitting alone at dinner while my mother praised Ethan's football scholarship and ignored my college acceptance letter. I was 23 again, holding Grandma's hand in the hospital, while everyone else argued over who would inherit her house. Don't embarrass us. I wanted to disappear. Judge Ellis adjusted her glasses and looked at the documents in front of her. "We are here regarding the estate of Evelyn Rose Carter," she said. "Before we proceed, I want to make it clear that Mrs. Carter prepared her final instructions carefully, legally, and with full mental clarity." Madison sat up straighter. My mother folded her hands in her lap. My father cleared his throat. Everyone was ready to receive something. The house, the savings, the jewelry, the land. Grandma had owned a beautiful old home near the lake, several investment accounts, and a collection of antique pieces that Madison had talked about since the funeral. Mr. Whitmore stood and began reading. "To my son, Richard Carter, I leave my father's watch." My father's face dropped slightly. "Just a watch." "To my daughter-in-law, Helen Carter, I leave my pearl brooch." My mother blinked. "To my grandson, Ethan Carter, I leave my library of first edition sports biographies." Ethan looked confused, like someone had handed him homework. "To my granddaughter, Madison Carter Reed, I leave my china set and the emerald," earrings she admired. Madison smiled, but only for a moment. She was clearly expecting more. Then Mr. Whitmore paused. The room became very still. "And to my granddaughter, Olivia Grace Carter." My heartbeat quickened. Madison shifted in her seat. My mother's lips pressed into a thin line. Mr. Whitmore continued. "I leave my home, my primary investment account, my lake property, and the remaining balance of my estate." For a moment, no one moved. No one breathed. Then Madison laughed. Not a happy laugh. A sharp, ugly laugh. "That's not possible." My father stood halfway from his seat. "There must be a mistake." My mother's face turned pale. "Evelyn would never do that." Ethan whispered, "What the hell?" I sat frozen. I didn't understand what I had just heard. "Grandma left everything to me?" Judge Ellis looked over the courtroom. "Please remain seated." My father ignored her. "Your Honor, my mother was elderly. She must have been confused." Mr. Whitmore calmly lifted a folder. Mrs. Carter underwent 2 independent medical evaluations before finalizing her will. Both confirmed she was of sound mind. Madison stood. "Olivia manipulated her." My head snapped toward her. "What?" "You heard me," Madison said. "You were always around Grandma, always playing the victim, always acting like the poor, forgotten daughter." My mother joined in. "Olivia, what did you say to her?" I stared at them, stunned. "I took care of her." Madison scoffed. "Exactly. You made yourself look useful so she'd give you everything." The judge's eyes sharpened. "Miss Carter Reed, sit down." Madison sat, but her face burned with anger. Mr. Whitmore looked at Judge Ellis. "Your Honor, Mrs. Carter also left a personal letter to be read aloud only if the will was contested verbally by the family." My father froze. Judge Ellis nodded. "Proceed." Mr. Whitmore opened the sealed envelope. My hands began to shake. He unfolded the letter and cleared his throat. "To my family," he read. "If this letter is being read, then I assume you have done exactly what I expected. You have questioned my mind, my judgment, and Olivia's character." Madison looked away. My mother swallowed hard. Mr. Whitmore continued. "I want it known clearly that Olivia did not ask me for anything. Not once. She did not manipulate me. She did not pressure me. She did not even know what I intended to leave her." My throat tightened. "She visited me when the rest of you were too busy. She took me to doctor appointments. She cooked when my hands shook too badly to hold a spoon. She sat beside me through the nights when I was afraid to sleep. She listened to my stories, even the ones I repeated." I looked down as tears blurred my vision. "Richard, you called only when you needed advice or money. Helen, you treated kindness as weakness. Madison, you wanted my jewelry before my body was even cold. Ethan, you never visited unless someone reminded you." Ethan's face turned red. Madison whispered, "This is ridiculous." Mr. Whitmore kept reading. "But Olivia loved me without calculation. She never asked what she would receive. She only asked if I was comfortable, if I had eaten, if I wanted the curtains open." A tear slipped down my cheek. And yes, I know how you treated her. I heard the comments. I saw the empty chair beside her at family dinners. I saw how you corrected her clothes, her voice, her dreams. I saw how you made her feel like an embarrassment simply because she did not live for your approval. The courtroom was silent. Even Madison didn't speak. Then came the words that broke me. So let me be clear. Olivia was never the embarrassment of this family. She was the only proof that something good still existed in it. I covered my mouth. My father stared at the floor. My mother's eyes filled with something that looked almost like shame, but not quite. Mr. Whitmore read the final lines. I leave my estate to Olivia because she understands the difference between possession and love. The rest of you may receive objects, but she receives my trust. And if any of you try to humiliate her in that courtroom, I hope the judge sees you clearly. Mr. Whitmore folded the letter. No one moved. Then Judge Ellis removed her glasses and looked directly at my family. I believe Mrs. Carter's intentions are very clear. My father tried again, but his voice was weaker now. Your Honor, we're her family too. Judge Ellis leaned forward. Family is not proven by blood alone, Mr. Carter. In this case, Mrs. Carter made her legal and emotional judgment unmistakably clear. Madison's face twisted. So Olivia gets rewarded for pretending to be a saint? That was when Judge Ellis turned toward me. For the first time that morning, she looked at me not with pity, but with respect. Ms. Olivia Carter, she said, please stand. My legs felt unsteady, but I stood. The whole courtroom watched. Judge Ellis stepped down from the bench. My family looked confused. She walked slowly across the front of the courtroom. And then she stopped right in front of me. The silence became so deep I could hear my own breathing. Judge Ellis held out Grandma's letter. Your grandmother wanted you to have this personally, she said. Not as part of the estate, as a final message from someone who knew your worth. I took the letter with trembling hands. Judge Ellis lowered her voice, but everyone still heard. Do not let people who failed to love you decide how valuable you are. I broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet collapse of everything I had been holding in for years. I cried for the little girl who waited to be chosen. I cried for the teenager who thought she had to become smaller to be accepted. I cried for the woman who had walked into that courtroom expecting to be judged and instead had finally been seen. Behind me, Madison whispered, "This is humiliation," and Judge Ellis turned her head slightly. "No," she said calmly, "this is accountability." The words landed like thunder. My family said nothing after that. The estate was confirmed. The will stood, and for the first time in my life, I walked out of a room before they did. Outside the courthouse, my mother called my name. "Olivia, wait!" I stopped near the steps. My father stood beside her. Madison and Ethan lingered behind them, still angry, still proud, still unwilling to fully understand what had happened. My mother's voice softened in that careful way people use when they want something. Your grandmother's house belongs to the family. We should talk about what's fair. I looked at her. For years, I would have folded at that tone. I would have apologized. I would have tried to make peace. But something inside me had changed. "No," I said. My mother blinked. "Excuse me?" "No," I repeated. Grandma made her decision. My father's jaw tightened. "Don't be selfish, Olivia." I almost laughed. Selfish. After years of being the one who gave, the one who stayed, the one who swallowed every insult just to keep the family comfortable. I looked at him and said, "You told me not to embarrass you in there." His face hardened. But I wasn't the one who embarrassed this family. Madison stepped forward. "You think money makes you better than us?" "No," I said. "But love made Grandma see me better than you ever did." That shut her up. I walked away before they could answer. A week later, I went to Grandma's house alone. The key felt heavy in my palm. When I opened the door, the familiar scent of lavender and old books wrapped around me like arms. Everything was quiet. Her reading glasses were still beside the lamp. The quilt she loved was folded over the couch. On the kitchen counter, Mr. Whitmore had left another envelope with my name on it. Inside was a smaller note. My dear Olivia, if you are reading this in my kitchen, then you made it through the storm. Good. Do not turn my home into a museum of grief. Fill it with life. Paint the walls if you want. Burn the curtains, says, if they depress you. Plant roses by the porch. Invite people who laugh loudly and love honestly. And promise me one thing. Never beg for a seat at a table where they only invited you to make you feel small. Build your own table. Love, Grandma. I pressed the letter to my chest. And for the first time in months, I smiled. I did paint the walls. Soft blue in the kitchen, warm cream in the living room. I planted roses by the porch, just like she said. I turned one room into a writing office, because Grandma always believed my stories mattered. I started writing essays about family, grief, and self-worth. One of them went viral. Then another. Then a publisher reached out. Funny how the daughter they told to stay quiet became the one people wanted to hear from. My family tried to contact me often at first. Madison sent long messages about betrayal. Ethan asked if he could borrow money. My father demanded a meeting. My mother left voicemails saying, "We're still your family." I didn't block them immediately. I simply stopped running toward people who only reached for me when they needed something. Months later, I received one final message from Madison. It said, "I hope you're happy. You got everything." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed back, "No, Madison, I didn't get everything. I lost Grandma, but I kept the one thing she gave me that you never could." She replied, "What?" I wrote, "My dignity." Then I put the phone down and walked outside. The roses were blooming. The lake shimmered in the distance. And for once, there was no voice behind me saying, "Don't embarrass us." There was only the wind, the sunlight, and the quiet, powerful feeling of finally belonging to myself.